Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Ebel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and join me today for this week's meal prep where the theme is going to be cozy casseroles. So today I'm going to be making 3 different casseroles and a batch of stir-fry vegetables. So before I get into all of the details of this meal prep, I want to get a couple things cooking. So the first thing I want to get cooking is this little spaghetti squash. I'm gonna slice it in half and put it in the oven at 400 degrees for 40 minutes. The next thing I need to get cooking is some potatoes and carrots pressure cooking in my Instant Pot so I can make potato cheese. And I'll post a link to the potato cheese recipe video. Today I'm going to be making a double batch of potato cheese. So I have a bunch of potatoes peeled and the bigger ones I chopped in half. And then this is a 2-pound bag of baby cut carrots. I'll probably do a little bit less than half of this. Maybe it was closer to half. Someone recently asked me how much water I use to pressure cook my potatoes and carrots. I'd say it's about 2 cups. This is a 32-ounce mason jar. So about 2 cups of water. And then I use my Instant Pot's preset settings. I hit pressure cook and then I just put it on potato. Okay, so now let me tell you about my cozy casseroles I am going to make today. So if you watched my meal prep video last week, I had a little bit of a fail with some red lentils, and I said that this week I would repurpose those into a lentil loaf. I overcooked these lentils last week, so I'm going to use them as the mushy part of the lentil loaf. Typically when I cook the lentil loaf vegetables, I end up pulsing a part of them in my Ninja food processor, but I'm not gonna do that today. I'm gonna cook the vegetables that I do, leave those whole and chunky, and have that as more of the binder in the lentil loaf. The only thing I'm not sure about the lentil loaf is what to do for the topping today. I like to make my lentil loaf like a shepherd's pie with a mashed potato topping. It's so delicious. So that's part of the reason I did the really big batch of potato cheese today. I could do potato cheese as the topping on the lentil loaf. I could mix it with some riced cauliflower. I've done that in my fall meal prep. I think I did that. I could also make mashed potato topping with some of the potatoes that are in the Instant Pot right now, so still got to make that decision. So actually all of my casseroles I'm making today have a component that's left over from the meal prep last week, but I think that's great. I'm not wasting food, repurposing it, making use of those leftovers. So I have this little portion of rice left over from last week. I think it's between a cup and a half. I'll have to measure it out before I make my recipe. But what I'm going to do with this is the new recipe I came up with last week, which is a cheesy broccoli rice casserole. So in addition to potato cheese, rice, and broccoli, I also use riced cauliflower in that recipe and make it an even 50-50 casserole. So I'll measure out that rice and then adjust my potato cheese, broccoli, cauliflower so that all the ratios are correct and it ends up being 50-50. Finally, my third casserole today is going to be with that spaghetti squash I just put in the oven. And what I did last time I made a casserole like this was just like marinara sauce with some extra zucchini in it. And I was going to do that for this meal prep, and then I was going to put my chili in the freezer, and I was like, wait, why put the chili in the freezer? Why not make a chili cheese spaghetti squash casserole? So I'm going to mix my leftover chili with the spaghetti squash, and then I'm going to use the potato cheese as the topping on that casserole. Doesn't that sound good? So the cheesy broccoli rice casserole will be a 50-50 meal, but the other 2 casseroles might not be quite 50-50. They might be a little heavier on the starch, which is why I'm also going to make a batch of stir-fry vegetables. I have kale, carrots, and green pepper for sure. Oh, I think I have a little broccoli left over. I'm just gonna take whatever vegetables I have in my fridge and use those for the stir fry. So what I need to do right now is chop some vegetables. I'm gonna chop all the vegetables I need for the stir fry and the vegetables I need for the lentil loaf, and then I will get the lentil loaf vegetables simmering on the stove. Looks like the spaghetti squash still has almost a whole half hour, and the Instant Pot hasn't even got to the pressure cook yet. It's still preheating, but it's making a lot of noise. I think it's almost there. So I'm going to go chop vegetables, and depending on the oven or the Instant Pot, whatever's done first, I'll start putting together that casserole then. Update time. It's been about an hour, I think. I don't remember exactly what time I started, but the spaghetti squash did its 40 minutes in the oven, and the potatoes are also done pressure cooking. I cooked the vegetables for the lentil loaf. I need to get like the seasonings and the oats prepared before I put that together. So I think my next step is to get the spaghetti squash and the chili mixed together and get that casserole in the oven. I can start putting together the lentil loaf and get that in the oven, and then I can mix up the potato cheese and then add that topping to the casseroles in the oven and get the third casserole in the oven that has the potato cheese base. I think I'm gonna wait and get all 3 of my casseroles in the oven before I worry about the stir fry vegetables. I still need to chop the kale, and I think edamame is the only other vegetable that's gonna go in the stir fry. So, time to get that spaghetti squash and chili mixed together. update time. The spaghetti squash chili casseroles are in the oven, as well as the bottom half of the lentil loaf. So my goal is to get this potato cheese blended up in the next 10 minutes so I can add that to the spaghetti squash casseroles, and then the lentil loaf is like 10 minutes behind those casseroles. So once I get this blended up, I'll be able to get the third casserole in the oven. Everything in here looks good, so I'm going to get out my immersion blender and blend up my potato cheese. And I've shown that in the last like 5 meal prep videos I did, so I will skip filming the blending up this time, but I'll insert a link to my potato cheese recipe if you want to check that out. There's the potato cheese all blended up. Time for a taste test. And perfect timing, the spaghetti squash timer just went off, so let's try the potato cheese. It just needs the tiniest bit more salt. Like I said, I do have a recipe for my potato cheese, but to me it's all about the taste test because I feel like it always needs a little tweak. Taste test number 2. Potato cheese is good. Let's top those spaghetti squash casseroles. So these are pretty full, but I'm gonna try to get a little layer of potato cheese on each of them and then cook them like another 10 minutes. So I'll give the spaghetti squash casseroles 10 more minutes in the oven. I just took out the lentil loaf and now I need to mix up the topping for this. Side note, I usually have a delicious glaze of ketchup, barbecue sauce, and sriracha on my lentil loaf, but I didn't have a barbecue sauce open in my fridge. I'm not sure if I have one in my cupboard or not. So right now I'm waiting on the riced cauliflower to cook, but as soon as that's done, I'll get the broccoli cheesy rice casserole in the oven as well. Get the lentil loaf topping made. While I'm waiting for that right now, I'm gonna chop that kale. Okay, time to put together the cheesy broccoli rice casserole and get that in the oven. Then I'm gonna top the lentil loaf and get that back in the oven. So let's see how much rice was left here. Did I call that or what? I estimated that there was 1.5 cups of rice here. Now I'm going to do 2.5 cups of potato cheese because I want more potato cheese than rice in the casserole because that's like what binds everything together. So there's 2 cups and about another 1/2 cup. Now I'm going to measure out 4 cups of non-starchy vegetables. I did a steamable bag of broccoli and a steamable bag of the riced cauliflower. This is my first time trying frozen broccoli in the casserole, so I hope it's as good as fresh, because the fresh was really good. It definitely doesn't smell as good as fresh broccoli. I'll be the first to admit I'm a broccoli snob. Just gonna top this off. Ooh. there's 2 cups. And another 2 cups. And mixing it all together. Okay, that's looking really, really good. Last time I did this in this pan, I made a 6-cup casserole. Today's casserole was 8 cups. And it's pretty full. All right, now I'm gonna put this in the oven for 30 minutes and I'm going to mix up the topping for the lentil loaf. So I probably will try to make this a 50-50 topping depending on how much cauliflower's in here. So I had about 2 cups of cauliflower left. 2 cups potato cheese. Oh, look at that. I think I forgot to mention my crispy topping that I'm going to put on all my casseroles. Well, I'm not sure, I guess, about those spaghetti squash casseroles. They do look like they settled down a little bit because they were definitely like really bubbling up over the pan. But anyway, before I get this lentil loaf back in the oven, I'm gonna mix up some more of the crispy topping, put that on here, and then I'm also going to pull out the cheesy broccoli rice casserole to add the crispy topping. I'm going to do equal parts panko and the chickpea breadcrumbs, and then I'm going to add some of this minced garlic. This is actually left over from my last casserole, so I'm gonna go ahead and use up this older stuff first. Yeah, I still want a little more. I guess that worked out good, not putting the crumbs on the spaghetti squash because I ran out. So the chili cheese spaghetti squash casseroles are done and the stir fry is done. I've got 19 minutes on those other 2 casseroles. Just a teeny bit of potato cheese left. So I guess I better use these 19 minutes to get some dishes done, and I'll check back in when the casseroles come out of the oven. And meal prep is complete. I just pulled these 2 casseroles out of the oven. This one was just bubbling up right here. So I think the lentil loaf shepherd's pie turned out really well. I'm slightly concerned about the way the lentil loaf looked. It just didn't look the most appetizing, but I just blame those mushy lentils. I'm sure it's gonna taste delicious, especially with the cheesy topping and the crispy garlic topping. Like, I think I saved the lentil loaf. My cheesy broccoli rice casserole, I think turned out really good. Its topping definitely got a little brown and crispy like I like it, so looking forward to that one. And now I am kind of wishing that my chili cheese spaghetti squash casseroles had the crispy topping, but I don't think I'm gonna eat one of these right now. So if these go in the fridge and then I decide to reheat them in the oven, maybe I'll add the topping. And then I have my big container of stir fry veg and this little container left over of potato cheese. Thank you for stopping by my channel today. I hope that you enjoyed this cozy casserole meal prep. Don't forget to subscribe and be well. I should do the squash first because this is gonna make noise. Ugh. I don't like any of that. Oh, so I like to make my lentil like those potato, but what I'm going to, I wonder what you're saying. I can tell it's important. Yeah, I can tell it's important. Did you just need some attention because you just woke up? You're so pretty. You know it. You know it. About an hour, I think. Start that part over. I can start putting together how am I gonna do this? Start all this over. So I'm still waiting, definitely doesn't smell as, so this cozy casserole. So the lentil, oh, you know what? Oh, I did.